again. The voices rise, the static fades. It's truth, not spin, my friend. Been waiting for this moment for all my life, oh Lord, to see the mask fall down and light cut through the fog, oh Lord. They said don't ask the questions, they said just let it go, but the signal keeps on burning. It's something we should know. Tailspin goes loud, the walls all start to shake. The truth we find tonight, no lie can fake. Tuning in, Tailspin, 7 p.m. tonight. No spin, just truth in the light. Ask your questions, bring your fire. We'll find what's real, take it higher. You can feel the charge, it's all around. 1,000 voices, one sound. From shadows deep to stars above. Truth's the signal we speak of. Tailspin in the air tonight. At 7, we ignite the fight. No spin, just truth, hold on tight.
technical issues once. Well, I'll get into detail once we kick this off. Guy, how are you? Your technical problems? Your mic working? Speaker good?
Yeah, we're wrapping up right here. We had to go out for a minute, but we're good. We're locked in.
All right, great. We'll just let the room fill in. If I have to go back and recap, I'll recap. So basically tonight, the space is for long form conversation, clearly thinking and asking better questions, especially when the topic does not fit neatly into a headline. So tonight's just a little bit different because we're going to start as we discuss some stories that begin to look like something more structured. So, as you all know, last night we ran that space about Three Eye Atlas and the missing scientist and the fireballs. And we were kind of just throwing theories around. And I had mentioned that from doing some research and putting all the scientists that are either murdered, died suspiciously, or been missing, that it was some type of Earth-based defense system looking for some type of either interstellar alien technology or something to that nature. Well, after the space was over, I was contacted by an account on X, and it came from the Sentinel Network LLC, and they have been compiling data and doing FOIA requests to get information from all the science agents, all the space agencies, um, federal agencies, local agencies on the missing scientist, and then everything to do with Three Eye Atlas. So they're an independent, open source focused data group. And they said that we were discussing last night was on target, and we have them down below as listeners. Um, I said, well, I love this information you're providing. Let's do a space. Love to have you on. And they're like, we do not go on spaces. We want to kind of keep ourselves anonymous, but we have all the data. Um, so I reached out to him again today and I said, I'm looking through all the information. There's so much. Is there a way you could possibly help streamline it or at least point me in the right direction on where I can start putting all this information together so it makes logical sense? And they said, absolutely. Actually, we'll put the stuff together for you, so it makes sense. Go ahead, Guy. Guy, you have your hand up? I guess it's for the culture. Everyone can hear
No,
me.
no, no, yo, sorry. I got new phone. My mute button's in a slightly different position. Um, yo, when you say you were contacted by Anonymous, you mean Anonymous, the conspiracy V for Vendetta group, or you mean like
No, no,
anonymously?
no. The group is down below. It's there's an account in the listeners. It's called the Sentinel Network, and they have tons of information that they've had put together going through FOIA requests and getting additional information. I'm not exactly sure how to get it all, but most of it is open source. So they have all of the information put together, and what we had hypothesized last night, our theories, were kind of lining up what they found with all the data information that they have occurred. So I connected with them. We've been going back and forth in DMs, and there's so much information between Three Eye Atlas, the fireballs, the missing scientist, what's going on in investigation with them, who they worked for, how it's all tied together. So I'm not going to be able to do this in a single space because there's just too much information out there. So we're going to start tomorrow discussing Three Eye Atlas and the anomalies. Um, and then we're going to continue on for the rest of the week, maybe doing one or two of the scientists or engineers a space, and then also then opening up to everybody who's listening. So I think this would be very informative, a lot of information, and I just want to be clear that these are just data points, right? These are just information that's open source that you can find online. You can make requests for. We're not saying this is exactly what happened, but what we're doing is going to provide enough evidence for everyone who's listening that you can draw your own conclusion and come up with your own questions. That's what we're looking for. So we're not stating that anything that's being discussed is fact, or we're saying we know exactly what's going on, because I don't think anyone does. And if they do, they're lying, because you can just kind of what we do all the time. We're pattern recognition experts, right? So we look at the patterns, we put it together. What does this mean? But we are going to be definitely. I looked at some of this stuff for Three Eye Atlas, and there's a document that I believe they just released that was classified and is now unclassified. And I'll go over that a little bit to talk about Three Eye Atlas and going all the way back over the last year when we've had Avi Loeb on here and we discussed Three Eye Atlas, and he kept saying he believed it was some type of artificial um, design and possibly a probe going through the solar system. So we'll touch on that in a little bit, and then I'll open it up to anyone down below if you have questions. So tomorrow, like I said, we're going to begin with the Three Eye Atlas. What is it? What has been observed, and where reported behavior begins to raise legitimate questions as far as all the anomalies. From there, we'll move into the next layer, the disappearance of scientists, the unexplained weird deaths and murders, individuals connected to aerospace physics and national level research, and how all of them are kind of tied together in a similar program. And then the central question: are these independent events, or are they connected by something that we're not being told? And we've had two, well, actually three now, um, congressional representatives questioning that this is very concerning. One, for a national security reason, and two, they're also part of the committees with UAPs and the oversight on UAPs that's going on in Congress. So we'll be discussing that throughout the week, especially the individuals. I did tag a few of them. I would love to have them jump in, but I'm not sure if they will. But one did suggest that all this information is out there and everyone needs to take a deeper look into this, pretty much saying that this stuff is all connected. Um, it's going to sound sci-fi. It's going to sound a little bit crazy, but with what we all been through in the past year, I don't think anything is out of reach when it comes to what the heck is going on around the world. So once again, it's important to say clearly we are not here to make claims. I'm not here to, we're here to examine the information, to separate the signal from the noise, to look at what is known, what is reported, and what remains unanswered. Because when you start to place these pieces side by side, you get timelines, location, areas, expertise. You start to notice there's some tension in the data that we're getting. There's gaps, there's overlaps. Things just don't make sense, right? And then there's things that if you just sit back and think, you're like, wow, maybe all these things are connected. Maybe it's not a coincidence. So we're not here for this series to come up with any conclusions. More or less going to put it all out to you and see what you all think. And if you think this stuff is just a coincidence, or if you think it needs to have more attention applied, and maybe with enough noise, we can get the federal government to investigate what the heck is going on with all this stuff. So tonight we're just laying out the groundwork, walk through some of the things, um, what Sentinel has begun to uncover, and how this would unfold across the week. So tomorrow we'll start with the Three Eye Atlas, and then we'll start breaking it down per disappearance and/or, like I said, strange, unexplained deaths, and also murders, because there were two who were basically executed outside their residencies, and then what they were actually working on. So that's pretty much what I have for you tonight. I'll give you a little taste of something for tomorrow night if I can get my freaking app to work right. I've never had an issue like this. I mentioned it to Goose in his space, when I put all this information I'm getting from the Sentinel network, um, my AI is just crapping out. My whole conversation just automatically deletes, and I got to start over. I start a new one, it starts over again. I tried it in ChatGPT, this happened. I tried it in Grok, the same thing freaking happened. And you guys know I use AI every single day, to put together, a decent space for everyone. And I've never had problems like this with AI. And it's like it doesn't once it takes like 5 minutes, it'll produce what I ask for, and then it just completely erases my whole conversation. And I got to start over. I've tried it with different chats. I've tried putting into a project. Everything I've tried, it just erases the data that it provides me. So it'll give me a quick summary, and boom, it's gone. Absolutely insane. Go ahead, Goose.
You should try Kimi 2.5. That's not a it's and this is the messed up thing. Like it's a Chinese AI, right? So it might work because of that, but it's also you're using a Chinese AI. Um, just to try to get something out of it because that's really strange, man. That is really strange. I've had I've had chats disappear on me, but that's because I force closed the app. Right, that's the only reason it disappeared because I foreclosed the app.
Mm.
But typically, they all stay there. They're all my chats are always there. So I that is very strange, man.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
I had this happen before, ever. And even though, like, I try to, I always put out like a little poster. I'll try to make a poster, and it refuses to make it. I try again, I try again, I try it again, try again, and it just refuses to do it. Something very.
So,
Go ahead, Miss A.
Mav, yeah, Mav, yeah, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, United?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone. Oh, good night, should I say to you guys? Because it's actually 12:20 here, so it's morning. I think actually what's really going. What device are you like? What device do you make use of?
I've been using my PC with ChatGPT and my phone, and it happens on both devices.
Are you using the same account, like same account you created on your phone and on your PC?
Yes.
Try creating a new account, but don't use your PC and your phone. Use a different device from either a friend or something. Then log out your account and delete the app and re-download the app. Like before you delete the app, you should delete the files. Like how should I say, reset the app. Then you delete it. So there's not going to be any information that you've made use of back then, or any store or any storage or like that. So you just log into the new accounts, with the username and the password and stuff. Then you try that and tell me what you see. And I actually have you can try something else, an AI. I think I'll check my apps that I kind of made use of, because I kind of changed switch my device. Also the app, some of my apps are not actually, I've not downloaded them back. So um I'll check on the app. It's an app, AI app, it gives you options, of what exactly you're going to do. Like it's really good actually. Let me check it out for you right now.
Thank you. And then we go to Miss A, and then we'll go to you, Goose.
Hey Matt, what's up, guys? Um, I was in and out yesterday when you had Money Penny on. Did y'all talk about Patrick Jackson and his idea of the sphere network?
No,
No.
no,
Also, did y'all discuss Amy Eskridge?
no. We didn't talk about anybody specifically. We just talked about the fact that what we pulled out of, throwing. Well, it's funny. Money was looking at it from the scientist point of view. She
Well,
saw.
Amy Eskridge. Amy Eskridge was a scientist that supposedly she committed suicide, and she was working in Alabama on I believe it was anti-gravitics.
I have all the information. I haven't done a deep dive yet on all those that are missing. I believe it's up to like 10 to maybe 17, if I'm not sure, um, that are all kind of tied together. So what we can this is what happened yesterday. I posted an article the other day, and on Friday, and then Money Penny read it, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is exactly the same scenario that I came up with." But I was looking at 3i Atlas and the fireballs, because I'm like, you know what? I remember around this time that someone had said that we would be entering in the debris tail of 3i Atlas in March. So I went into AI, multiple AIs, and I said, are we entering into the debris field, and could this be these fireballs and all this activity we're having with meteorites and things be from that? And it said, yes, we're definitely in what would be the tail, but the debris, no, that of course they reference NASA. The debris would be so small. You might get some meteorite activity, but nothing like the fireballs that people are seeing. And then I said, well, hypothetically, if those fireball things or whatever were some type of probes, is that a possibility? And it says that could be a possibility. And then Avi Loeb had written an article that night when we had the space yesterday, just right before the space, he put out an article talking about um, that it could be debris from 3i Atlas, but he doesn't believe the debris would be large enough to cause these fireballs, but it can't be ruled out. And he's still trying to figure out if it's alien technology or if it's not. Um, which
Yeah,
surprised me because what is posted on Sentinel Network's webpage is now a classified bulletin, a master object profile classified on uh, the interstellar object, right? So this was declassified on their webpage March 4th, and based upon all the information provided here, I'll just go down to where what it stated. The conclusion was. Just give me a second here. Talks about the
Oh,
trajectory and all this information. Okay, so here it is. Based on the convergent evidence across 27 papers, 57 anomalies, 3i Atlas is consistent with an autonomous interstellar reconnaissance probe operating on a pre-programmed survey trajectory through our solar system. The object profile matches what aerospace engineers would recognize as a Bracewell probe, a self-directed observation platform sent to catalog a targeted star system. That
that's wild. It's wild. But so that I'm gonna always go back to this. Have you watched SG Universe yet? Stargate Universe.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because that's exactly what that thing is for. It's on a preset um trajectory,
Jacob.
and I mean it's got a place to go, and it makes stops along the way, but I mean it's on its mission. But as far as your AI, I've had problems with Grok too. If I get too deep into something, it's almost like there's a governor on it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They actually like cut you off and like they don't want you to get, um, you actually going to the right place, like there are questions you ask, that it's actually deeper than, you think. But I don't know, there's this the AI I'm talking about, the app. You can try anyone Pocket Pal. You can check it on App Store or what's it called, Play Store. Also, when you download it, it has like some options of AI stuff. I don't know if anyone have heard of Pocket Pal before. You guys should try it out. Yeah, you download the file. You just check it out. Just check it out and tell me what you think about it, because it's actually really good. Actually, I made um a bit of things with it, and it actually gave me a quite different answer from what Grok gave me and what ChatGPT did actually. You know, um, what it was telling me was actually like clearly like it's saying it says it directly, unlike the way Grok and ChatGPT, they'll tell you something but they don't say it directly. They won't go straight to the point. They won't say it so raw to you. Um, they'll just like try to put words that are converted. So you guys can check it out and you tell me what you think about the app Pocket Pal.
Thank you, United. I appreciate that. Goose, you had your hand up. About that.
Yeah, yeah. I did. Uh, that's so funny. This guy, Unite. I was trying to figure out who was talking because I couldn't see him, and so it looks like Unite's been to that prototype space and has been playing with his Pocket Pal. Um,
Good.
what I wanted to ask is what I wanted to ask Unite is I guess the weird thing that's happening right now is it's the subject. As soon as the subject gets brought up, it gets a little wacky, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
so it doesn't really matter like what you do on the back end. It's the subject itself, and just like Miss A was saying, there seems to be like some type of governor on it,
Monitoring.
and that's my whole thing about that. All that shit is right. So that's why I suggest like the personal AIs, because there is no type of governor, right? There is no type of filter. I'd be really interested, Mav, if you were to just open like a private, locally based AI, and then if you were to feed that information into it, I wonder what you would actually get out of it, because it's going to be unfiltered. And are the fireballs that you guys talking about? Are you talking about the green fireballs? Is that, or am I thinking about something completely different? Is that what you're talking about, Miss A?
I personally haven't seen anything, and a lot of the videos I've seen, um, some of them look like fireballs or asteroids or not asteroids, meteorites or whatever. But then some of them, they look like they could be drones with pyrotechnics on them, because fireballs don't do loops. They don't change directions. They don't, like there's some stuff that when you first see
Oh,
it,
those things.
yeah,
Okay.
when you first see it, you're like, oh wow. But then like if you really think about it, like there could be a mundane explanation for it. But it's definitely creating buzz for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and I think I kind of know what you're talking about. It's the fireballs that were kind of being acting weird or whatever. Um, okay, so then let me ask you this, Miss A and WTF and Mav. Um, okay, so we heard about the Ohio, Saudi Arabia, and then Ohio again, and I forgot where it got hit again. And then that's when I started to see the green fireballs, and then that's when I started to see the swirly the red fireballs. Are all those connected? Are all those the same thing?
I have no idea.
Don't know, Goose. I mean, all these things.
Because this is all like in the last month.
Yeah, I mean, for
This is
timing
all
wise,
happened like in the
yeah,
last month.
just timing wise, the time is the connection, right? That's the thing that's kind of blowing us all away, is just the fact that all these videos were captured and shared. I don't know, just me. I can't speak for everyone, but the thing that blew me away was the day that this started. I remember one popped up on my timeline and I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And then it was 2 and 3. And then there was not a single post. I would just scroll through my timeline and it was literally only asteroids, comets, meteors, and fireballs. And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is insane." In my entire X feed, and I don't follow like any I don't know, like I haven't been commenting on any of that stuff. I hadn't even opened a single one of these. I just like scrolled past it, you know? So I'm like, what the heck?
Well, something else that happened that's interesting. I cannot explain. I've never seen this before. Last night's space. So we had a decent number of listeners. I think we had, when the space ended, we had 700, and I think we had up to 4,000 views. Well, I went to bed, and when I woke up this morning, it was at 46,000 views, 1.3K tuned in. Now it's up to 54,500 views, but only 1.3K tuned in. I've never had a space blow up that much with views. Um, normally maybe like I had what 1.3K, maybe 4K views, but 54K views on a space that we ran last night, that is freaking insane. And it's
No, that
and
my during MySpace you had 50. So since then you've had 4,000 more?
4,000 more since your space goose.
Sheesh.
That's insane. It'd be interested to see what happens with tonight's space, but found out that was odd. Like, why would it be so high? I even compared it to like Bark. Bark will run like a space, have 14K listeners, and you might have 20K views. I mean, that makes sense, right? That's within the ballpark. But to have 17, I mean, 1,700 listeners and then have 54K views, that is freaking insane. I've never had a space like that where the number was that freaking high on a view. So I don't.
People want to know about it. They want to talk about it. They want to hear about it. And I don't know. That's what kind of makes me want to pull back a little bit because I'm like everything about it screams op. I don't know because it just like anyway. That's just conspiracy theorist in me, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found that odd when I woke up and I was like 50. I mean, no, I woke up, it was 47. So today alone, it's gained 7,000 more views. And you guys know what happens with like a space. You run a space, it gets buried in the algo. Um, and it's not even on a timeline. So why is this getting traction like this? I have no freaking idea. Um, it could be the subject. It sounds interesting, but then when you click on the space to listen in, I don't know. It's just odd. It's very freaking odd. It just adds to the whole thing. Um, yes, I don't know. That's just very weird. Goose, did you think about that some more since I brought it up in your space? Any idea why that would happen?
I cannot think of anything in particular as to why, other than the subject itself, other than what you just said, other than what you just said. Um, but I think what you're kind of mentioning more is like the ratio so off, right? It's like every person in that space had to tell like 50 people, 60 people, right? And they all had to listen, and they all had to, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting from it is it's just the numbers aren't adding up. They're about as strange as the topic, Mav.
Well, here's something that's even odder, right? So looking at the analytics, like it's pumping now again. Um, I just had 1,000 more impressions in the last hour. R That's insane. So the past hour, it's got 1,000 impressions. But this is something that's kinda odd for me. I'm normally, when I look at, like, the content or the spaces, my average ages, they peak between, like, 18 to 24, 25 to 34. Well, 18 to 24 is only 2.1%. 25 to 34 is 13.3. 35 to 44 is 21%. 45 to 54 is 24%. 55 to 64 is 17%. 65 plus is 20%. I never get 65 plus. So my biggest numbers are from 30 to 60, not 30 to 18, which is like a reverse of the normal trend for audience insight. So what do you think about
Botted?
that?
Maybe. One of your other spaces got botted too, right? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was the one oh my goodness. Never mind. I don't want to say any words.
And then far as country, I got 60% United States, 12% UK, but I had Money Penny on, 5% Australia, 5% Canada, 16% other. So that was kind of odd as far as the audience insight. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
Have you seen anything down there where you're at, Mav?
No, I haven't seen anything here. I'm just kind of wondering because I have had issues before. I have received threats. When I was talking about 3 Atlas with Avi Loeb, I had gotten a lot of threats in my DM. Um, I need to shut up. They know where I live, you know. And then I had other ones saying, "Oh, you're a government insider. It's a psyop," and stuff like that. Um, I've never got attacked by anyone before except when I was speaking about 3i Atlas, and then these numbers were just through the roof. And then the Sentinel had reached out to me and said, "Yeah, they've been getting threats as well." So I was like, "Yeah, I've gotten threats myself, especially when talking about 3i Atlas, which you would think wouldn't get that many threats." But something I was thinking about today, looking through, you guys all know about the fireballs, right? Um, don't you, when we have when we have meteor showers, what's the news media always talk about? Oh, make sure you go out tonight. We have the meteor shower from blah, blah, blah. You haven't heard them say anything about meteor showers or fireballs or
Can
anything
I
like
chime
that.
in on that, man?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's what I brought up last night is you know, these could be new, right? These could be like they're not in the calendar, but they are meteor showers and they will be in the calendar in the coming years. And just say my thing again, why this is occurring. So we have pushed up above the debris field of our arm of the Milky Way galaxy. It takes like 12,000 years to dip down into it and then get really down in the grit and then come out of it on this arc swing. And now we're coming out of it. And now that we're out of it, we're into a new flight pattern of debris, of comets, asteroids, meteors, blah, 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 spaceships, large planets. Who knows? What those that have to be rogue planet. But anyways, yeah. So these to me, like that's my best guess is that these are undocumented meteor showers that are now being documented for the first time in history, at least with modern historical records. And real quick, just because I don't want to have to grab the mic too many times, I thought of something huge that this administration could do. And they don't have to disclose anything just yet, and they could generate a ton of buzz and hype behind this administration, which is you only have one pre disclosure, like you have pre disclosure, and then after you have disclosure, if it is going to be some big official thing where the whole mass population is like, wow, we just went through disclosure and now we're in post disclosure. We have never had a pre-disclosure party worldwide or nationwide. We've never had a disclosure day party. If someone like Donald Trump could actually add something to the calendar, a holiday where we would actually party like the Millennium Party we had. That was a huge celebrated thing all across the nation. Um, there's only one time to reflect prior to disclosure. And once we get disclosure, the world will never be the same. And I propose that someone within the Trump administration should dedicate a day to humanity reflecting on this is the last time we will be in pre-disclosure, and after this occurs nothing will be the same. So let's celebrate where we are, let's celebrate how far we've come, and get ready to have a big announcement, and then we could generate all this hype around it, you know what I mean? Yeah, just a wild idea.
And how do you propose they do that?
Yo, if they came out and said that, I'd be scared
Well,
as fuck.
all they have to do is generate hype. That's it. They literally don't have to disclose anything, right? But that's on their that's in their court. I'm not saying they shouldn't or they should. I'm just saying all they have to do is designate a day of the year on the calendar for it to be a holiday, and you mark that day, you word it whatever they choose, whether they want it to be disclosure day or call it something else. It's the one time in human history we'll have to reflect and celebrate prior to disclosure and recognize that after this happens, we're taking advantage of the time now to do this, because afterwards what's coming, we're in a complete different age now. It's a celebration of the age we're in prior to going into the age we're going in, which will be post disclosure.
That'd be definitely interesting. I mean, because disclosures, well, you got who knows when they're going to release what the government has, but then you have Spielberg's thing coming out, correct? I think in June.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bledsoe's saying that we're going to get a huge announcement from Egypt this year, and it will change. Right, Bledsoe. I love Bledsoe. I mean, dude, I can't think of one person like on X that hasn't grifted some lie. And I'm sure like Bledsoe's not perfect, but listening to the guy talk and his like personality, I like the guy. I like the guy. But he does say we're going to get this announcement in Egypt this year. And if you do look at the Space Force logo, it does have the I forget the god, but it has that god from Egypt on the logo. And a lot of other people have a lot of other interesting things to say that will happen in intergalaxy wide, intergalaxy wide throughout our galaxy. There's something happening that appears to be happening on Earth as well. And why they're moving, I can't understand, but there appears to be new activity. A lot of interesting stuff going on. It's probably something bigger than Earth that I don't know, you know.
Interesting. I see we got Science Bob. I'd love to have his take if he's up to speaking. Not sure. He hasn't requested. He might be busy. Might have us in the sock drawer. But definitely like his input. What do you think, Guy?
I think it's all crazy, and there's way too much things happening at once. I find it very interesting that they always seem to contact you when you have those topic, right? Uh, so I don't really want to speak because I like my account. I've worked really hard to get my account where it's at. And you've done some spaces where they just report you. Shout out to all the haters and all the people that are, silencing those that are bringing information. So that's honestly what I think. I'm just here to listen, and I'll chime in whenever I think I need to, but I'm learning. I'm a learner.
Yeah, guy, keep yourself safe. You are my space boo. I don't want nothing to happen to you.
Yeah, I'm just here to get all the engagement that you bring, all the information, all the guests that you reach out to, just learn from them. I wouldn't be in another space.
You want to be in another space or you don't want to be in another space?
I don't want to be.
Yeah, Science Bob tried to get up. I hit the request to bring him up, but lost him. Oh, there we go. There's Atomic. He's the one that comes up and talks about all the satanic stuff. So yeah. Bye, Atomic. I'm gonna have to block you, I think. Bye bye. What's going on, Bob?
What's up, dude?
I'm busy working, fiddling around every now and again while my brain needs a break.
I'll try to catch you up. I don't know when you came in, but last night I had a space with Moneypenny. She had reached out to me after I posted an article Friday about I took all the scientists that went missing and I threw them in multiple AIs and I said, hypothetically, because right away I know it was going to tell me, oh, well, there's no proof. I said, hypothetically, based upon their background and area of study, and they were all working together on a project, what would that project be? And came out and said, well, it would probably be an Earth-based defense system looking for uh, high speed, artificial, pretty much alien craft or something approaching Earth as a some type of space defense system. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So I put the article out. Well, Moneypenny was I worked it back from like three. I started with 3i Atlas, worked back to the fireballs, and then I said, well, let's throw in the scientists that went missing over the last year, and that's what he came up with. Moneypenny started with the scientist was working towards the fireball, working to 3i Atlas, and she came up with something very similar. So she's like, let's do a space. I said, let's do it. So we did it last night, and then a Sentinel network reached out to me and whole they have huge amounts of data on 3i Atlas and all the things going on with each scientist in detail, the anomalies with the investigation, how they disappeared, how some of their devices were factory reset and had all of the information on them deleted, and the similarities between finding all their keys, their phone, and all these things left behind, but no one has any idea where they are. And then also the execution of a few plasma physicists um, that were working on, uh, cold fusion and everything like that. Um, so he reached out to me and says, "You're right over the target. We pretty much coming up with the same hypothesis on what they were working on and what's going on." So I spoke with them today and I said, let's do there's so much information on all the topics. So I said, let's do it. Let's have spaces and discuss everything that they've collected, because everything they have has been in Substack and things, but no one's done any type of space or anything on it. They did have a few of the things they were working on picked on by like ABC News, CNN, and Fox. Um, but no one really went through all the information they had, starting with like 3A Atlas, the fireballs, the scientist, details on what's going on in each one of the cases. So I said, well, let's do it for a week. We'll do a series. We'll start tomorrow. We'll start with 3I Atlas, and then we'll go through each scientist, what they were working on that we know of that's open sourced, what happened to them, what's going on with the current investigation, and then at the end of the week, we could all meet up again and say, what do you think of all the information that you now know about all these different topics? Are we just a conspiracy theorist? Do you think there's something there? Does it make sense? Are there more questions that should be asked? Should federal agencies get involved with this? And I noticed today there's been a lot of congressmen saying that this is a national security issue.
Okay,
Whether
so let me tell you what I hear from what you said. I'm just going to accept every word you said. I'm going to separate them into two groups. The ones whose pattern of life is identical when they disappeared and they're gone and nobody where's they are, man, the government will be all over that, all over it. Okay, the other two, we know about the guy that shot the kids at Brown, the kids and professor at Brown, and then went cuckoo and went up to Harvard and shot the plasma physicist. I do not believe that's related in any way. It doesn't have any of the aspects of these cases you talked about where they left their keys, they left this, they left that, and they just vanished. Yeah, I did not know that was true, Mav. And now that I know it's true, I've completely changed my opinion. Those cases are related and we're missing something.
yeah, because it's kind of not even saying that they're dead, right? I mean,
No, they're missing.
yes. So there's different scenarios there. Either they remove them because they were a threat, or something's going on and they needed them and they brought them in. Now, the only reason I think that is when 3i Atlas was going on, I don't know if you were in the spaces back then, Bob. I I went through SETI's protocol on what they would do if they thought they had contact. And then I threw in there from my emergency management background how I would try to keep the information quiet until we were able to verify, just to based on how, in emergency management, stuff like that, you want to get all the information. You don't want to just dump it out to the public. What would I do? What would they do? And it started off that if you started to see prominent scientists, engineers, and things that worked in these fields suddenly going on vacation, no return date, even from universities, uh, scheduled conferences that are off the books with no disclosed location, pretty much similar individuals like this disappearing, that would be something the government would do if they believed that something was going on and they needed them. One, they needed them, and two, they could not have them leak the information that they would go round these individuals up, maybe put them in a think tank, maybe put them on a military base somewhere, and start to question them like, what do we do? What is this thing? You think that is something that's possible?
I think that given the circumstances and the pattern of life at the end, and that we're in the same place with all of them, they are likely who have been gathered by whoever gathered them up. And we don't know enough to know any answers to any of the other questions.
You're right, we're speculating. But if hypothetically, if they were the experts in these certain topics, like let's say alien life coming, or they're detecting some type of object coming, I would round all them people up and put them in one place and go, all right, break it down. What are we dealing with here?
That
What are we?
that can be done, and it has been done. And it would be done under this kind of secrecy. We just don't have enough to know it was done here.
Yep, yep. And the only reason we know about it at all is because information's so readily available that if it happened in the past, you wouldn't be able to connect the dots because you wouldn't even have heard the story because it would have been a local case, right?
Exactly. The fact that they all left stuff behind. We don't know where they are. The ending 2 hours of their life in life visible is identical. It sounds like the same crew took them all.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Now I know Sentinel's got some information. I was looking through and it blew my mind. But that's going to be a discussion on Tuesday Night Space because we're going to go into the general who is reported missing. Very, very interesting thing there. We'll bring out on that. And I think Sentinel's going to try to help me as we're running these space. So Bob, I'm going to start tomorrow talking about 3A Atlassian anomalies. And I think Sentinel is going to be dropping things in the purple pill. So as we discuss it and we go through, he's got receipts. So he's going to drop the receipts in the purple pill. So it's not just speculatory. So I would ask everyone here, especially, you guys in the UFO community, push this stuff, push it out, because the information that's going to be dropping in these spaces is not going to just be me talking and going through some talking points. The Sentinel network down below, he's got receipts and copies of things that are just going to blow your freaking mind. So as we're going through it, he's going to be dropping them in the purple pill, so you can then go and reference the information that we're talking about with some actual receipts. So if any of you are interested in stuff, I think this week is going to blow your mind for the information that he has. Now, we say we can't prove that all this stuff is factual, right? But they've had grabbed it from, FOIA request, involved with the investigation, information that's, been buzzing around. It's all open source stuff. But wow, the stuff that I read was just, I couldn't take it all in, because it's just insane.
Mav and Science Bob. So I was just listening to you guys talk and about them pulling the scientists all together and about orchestrating something along like this, right? And Science Bob is saying that we don't have enough factual information to know that this is exactly what's going on, but that there has been examples of this in the past. Okay, so in the past, how long does it usually take for us to, like us, I mean, like the public, for us to gather that information? Like, how soon can we know that? As soon as it's over, or in 5 years, a year? You know what I mean? Like what would be the key indicator?
That's a very good question. I think the cases that I am aware of, it was they needed them a hurry. They got them, grabbed them up, and then they let them go all at the same time. But we are in a completely different situation now. This is a worldwide story. It never was in the past. So the context is different. I don't know how they will handle it.
And Goose, real quick, it depends on the scenario, because the same waiting period applies for asteroids as well. Granted, I mean, Science Bob could probably correct me. I'm probably wrong, but so the window of error for Apophis asteroid, forget the year that it's swinging back, is larger than the distance between Earth and where they say it's going to miss us, where its actual path is going to go safely by Earth. The problem is the window of error, or the degree, the margin of error possible, is larger than the distance between it and Earth. So big problem. But anyways, on these asteroids, they do have the same protocol. They have to discuss these things, and but they typically hold, well, I've listened to some of them. They hold round tables where they gather students in the field that are going to school for these things, and they gather at the top of the fields in every sector you can think of, and they say, "Well, what should we do? What would you do?" And then they gather their proposals, and they discuss them out loud, and then they get to rebuttal them. And the problem, that they were theorizing with announcing in a theoretical hypothesis, not a real hypothesis, a theoretical hypothesis that, okay, Apophis is going to strike Earth. Okay, well, where? Where is it going to be? On this side of the planet? Is it going to be in the side of United States? Because guys, if we announce this, the real estate value on that side of the planet, especially in the radius zone, it goes down to zero the moment that we announce it. Like if we announce it a year in advance, well, immediately now we have problems right now, as opposed to in a year from now. So we have unnecessary problems if we announce. Also, what do we do? What are our options here to combat this? If we blow it up, it rains down on a wider area and destroys potentially more than if we don't blow it up. We could nudge it, but we can't nudge it away from Earth. We could only nudge it just far enough with our current technology to strike a different area of the planet. How do you choose? How do you choose a moral choice where there's the proper place to nudge the asteroid. But it just depends on the scenario, right? Because these are like they have the protocols, and each one is different for each scenario, and then they have to continue to hold these roundtables about what you would do, and this is prior to the event occurring. But yeah, I'm sure there's been roundtables on this. And actually, Science Bob, if you have heard or read a documented roundtable on this, send it to me because I'm highly interested in reading or listening to this. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. So you did a pretty good job with that, not being kind of an expert. So he's right that the error bars on where it will go are large. The probability of it being a large excursion away from where they think it will go is very small. So, but they keep making measurements as it moves, and every time they make a new measurement, they refine the orbit. So we keep getting better and better and better information as it gets closer. I believe that if they think it's going to hit the Earth, they will mount a serious expedition to push it off course.
That's true. I know Dr. Brandenburg mentioned that he thinks that's why Elon is practicing with his Falcon 9s, landing on barges in the ocean. Because if they can land it on the ocean, they can land it on, let's say, Apophis, and then use that to push it off course just
Oh my
enough.
God. Yeah.
Okay, so with all due respect to him, that makes no sense. And the reason is if you land on it like SpaceX lands their Falcon now, the rockets are pointing in the wrong direction to push it. You have to put the nose of the thing at exactly the right point and fire your engines up and push it away. The engines have to be pointed in the opposite direction you want to push. So his scenario makes no sense.
Oh, well, you ruined that for me, Bob. Thank you.
Hey, Mal, what are friends for, brother?
I was trying to hit the laughing emoji, so you knew I was kidding, and I almost closed the space. My-
All right, I need to run and eat dinner. I'll be back.
Thank you so much, Bob. We got, I think Apple had his hand up.
I'm not gonna lie, Mav. If you would have accidentally rugged the space after that, it would have been hilarious.
What you got, Apple?
Hey guys, this is a fascinating subject, isn't it? I remember when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 when um, Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out. And I kind of think maybe if it were to happen, it might happen something like that, because I think the aliens would be pretty advanced and they'd have the ability to communicate not just with governments necessarily, but maybe individuals somehow, maybe through AI. I don't know, but yeah, pretty fascinating. I've seen some crazy stuff in the sky. I posted something in the Purple Pill during it was last November. When 3i was kind of active going over. There were aurora borealis, northern lights that came all the way down to southern Iowa. So could have been a solar flare, probably was, but makes you wonder.
It certainly does. And there's no dumb question. So if anyone down below wants to come up and speak, please feel free. Come up. We'll give you the mic. Love to get your input. And I also like to know if you all think this is a good idea for this week. If you're all interested in listening to all this information, because I don't want to do it if you guys aren't interested in it. But if you're interested in it, we're going to do a deep dive. I'll put a lot of time into it and try to make it as informative as possible. Go ahead, Swan.
So on the Three Eye Atlas thing, you guys should listen to the Angry Astronaut. He does a really good detailed breakdown on all the anomalies of Three Eye Atlas. One of the biggest anomalies that was to me was convincing that this thing might is actually very closely monitored by NASA, and the intel agencies is the day that it came within the sensor reaches, it like the NASA shut down the public sensors and it like glitched or something, and then it came back online when the astronaut was completely gone. So the public couldn't see the sensor information, which was interesting. It's kind of like the same thing they do with UFOs seen by the ISS. They always shut down the feed. It's kind of like the same thing. The other thing is about the missing scientists, right? So, my theory about this, and journalist Chris Sharp, who covers the UAP beat, his theory, and we kind of align in our theories, is that the Trump administration wants to do a narrow banded disclosure of of a certain truths that it would be harmful and disruptive if there's contradictory evidence by whistleblowers and everything. So I think the gatekeepers of this secret, right, are bumping off these scientists that might know a thing or two or scared of their point of view being contradicting whatever the Trump will be putting out on UFOs.
Well, anything is possible. If anyone says they know exactly what's going to happen when they disclose, lying to you. Even the topics we're going to be covering. I mean, we don't know exactly. I just know like it was just part of the SETI protocol that you would start seeing key figures in the community start to disappear, or like I said, go on vacations, unscheduled conferences, family leave of absence, just boom. And I haven't threw that in. You know what? I should throw that in. I should throw all them into my SETI protocol that I made during the 3i Atlas thing and see what it comes up with that. To see if it ups the chances of it not being natural. But from an emergency management point of view, I know damn well this is what they do, because I was one of the ones that would be grabbed when I was before I retired. I would be the one that would be called in, and my family. So if there was something that catastrophic for continuity of government, they would reach out to certain individuals with certain expertise and their immediate family, um, and then tuck them away, almost like the movie Green, right? So they select certain individuals, certain education, certain abilities, and relocate them. So it's not uncommon for the government to do that. And for all these having worked in similar fields and then all starting to disappear. And like Bob said, with with certain information being similar, like their phones are left behind, their car keys, and their phones are wiped and factory reset. That makes no sense.
They're all also have a link in common that they're all space scientists, right? So the Raza person I think was like a rocket scientist, and then there was a SETI scientist that like was looking into life on other planets, and then McCaslin is related to the UFO thing, right? The other thing is if Three Eye Atlas was like some kind of alien mothership or whatever, first of all, Space Force would have already detected that. They would have fed it right to NASA and Space Force would have went immediately to the White House and the National Security Council. As you said, it would become like a continuity of government, like to act on that process.
No, that's correct. But also part of the SETI protocol, if contact was made, or there was an object they thought could be something unnatural, all the observatories and anyone who would be involved with monitoring or tracking report to one location, which I believe was Harvard. But that at the same point, when all this was going on with 3i Atlas, they weren't providing Avi Loeb with any information. And he's running the Galileo project. And he's the one that found the 3i Atlas. So they weren't even sharing information with him, from, I think it was the University of Arizona, had eyes on it, and he reached out to them, and they wouldn't provide him any information.
So you know Oumuamua, right? Apparently the way Avi Loeb got the data of Oumuamua's trajectory of where it was going to land in the Pacific Ocean was actually through Space Force, through sending out a FOIA request to Space Force. 'Cause someone from his agency told him, I think Space Force would have that kind of information. So he sent out a FOIA request to Space Force, and Space Force actually told him where this object was going to crash down in the Pacific Ocean. So that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't take NASA. NASA wouldn't be the first one to catch this object. If it was a spaceship, it would be Space Force. They would have all the data they ever needed on it. They have way better sensor systems than anything NASA would ever have.
Yeah, I forgot who it was that told me, but he doesn't believe the military. Most of the military satellites are pointing downward. Very few are pointing outward. Just like with like 3i Atlas. If that thing was coming towards Earth, we had a 6-month window. That was it. That's not a lot of time. And that object was huge. Now imagine the smaller objects. And that kind of goes, I had John Colin on, he was talking about we're entering a field of debris. And that's where Apophis comes in. And he thinks there's going to be a lot of large debris, large objects that could possibly strike the Earth. So I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's the 3i Atlas thing, and it's really an alien probe. But we're going to dig into that tomorrow, thanks to Sentinel. He's got tons of information. And as far as the general that went missing, oh, he's got stuff. He's found information about that. It's going to blow all your minds. And that'll be probably Tuesday that we discuss that. Anybody else got any questions, Goose? I know you're probably running around the house like your hair on fire.
Yo, I am, dude. You know what, Mav? I don't think it's fair that you ask this of us. But I'm locked in, man. Don't put it on us, bro. Do not put it on us. I think that we should just do it regardless. This is interesting stuff. I think regardless, the right people will come, just like right now. And I'm excited for this.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm excited about it. I'm just, I told Sentinel in the DM, there's so much information he has. I'm like, is there like a simpler way of a starting point? Because he's got so much data and it's everything I read was just like, wow, wow. I didn't see that coming. Wow. And I got to somehow put it in my mind together so I can run the space so it makes sense. So I'm not jumping all over the place. Go ahead, Miss A.
I'm disappointed, to be honest, because this seems to be a warm up space for the upcoming series and not actual meat. Ah, tease. But tease is good sometimes, I guess. Get
T.
everybody, yeah, get everybody talking about it.
Well, I didn't, the problem is these stupid spaces. You can only put so much in the title. So I had to do this. So then you're all aware when I change the title tomorrow. Um, it's just not a normal 3i Atlas thing. It's more in depth and that it's a series that's just going to build on itself, for the rest of the week. And I said the best way to do it was probably to do a little tease. Now, what Guy said I should have teased you all tonight and then had you all sub to me for the remainder of the week. I said,
And
no,
you
I'm
would have
not.
had everybody screaming grifter and you would have been canceled just like that.
Oh, come on. I was like, I thought about it. I'm like, no. Maybe what I'll do is we'll have a space and then maybe I'll have a subspace after. So if anyone wants to get into more detail, Guy sent me a laughing emoji. Um, but maybe we'll do like a subspace after if people want to, just keep going on and discuss it. And he's got technical issues. All right, gotta remove Guy, bring him back. He's back. Now you can yell at him, Miss A. Go ahead, Guy.
I'm gonna start calling Guy Edgelord.
Yo, well, the reason why, it's not because of edging or anything. Um, if Mav gets this gigaspace and it gets botted and reported and he loses his account, right? That's why at least, yeah, it's putting a paywall, but at least you know that bots are not going to subscribe to Mav and people are not going to report that space because they don't know what's going on. That's the reason why. It's in order to, he's my space boo, and it's in order to protect his account and all the hard work he's been doing.
That makes perfect sense, to be honest. So yeah, I retract my edgelord thing and my being disappointed and all of that. So go on, sub it.
See, sometimes you got to put things out to see how people feel. But no, I didn't really want to put it behind a paywall because I want everyone to be able to listen to it. Just like the Sentinel doesn't have any of his Substack behind a paywall because I think his information is important. But yeah, that was one of the things we discussed that if it gets botted or mass reported because they don't want us to discuss it, and then boom, the space is shut down. And it has happened to me before where people mass reported a space and then I couldn't run it. So it does happen. I think it's happened to Diligent too before. They'll go in, they'll do a mass report, and then you can't run the space, which is crazy. Which means when they do stuff like that, you're over the target, right? So if that does happen, then maybe that's what I'll do. Um, we'll just see how it plays out. Go ahead, WTF.
It's kind of interesting. So you guys been mentioning the maps comment. So I just, usually whenever I hear about a comment, people talk about it, I go out and see it. I'm like, can't even see it. Like I gotta pull out my fake phone app to just like show me where it is, and then I still can't see it. You know what I mean? So I looked it up, and I'm like, oh snap, this is actually pretty cool. So the actual comet I was getting let down about through Grok, and then I'm like, what about the tail? I'm like, yo, if I hold my finger up, will that? How big will it look? The size of my fingernail? He's like, oh no 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 no, much smaller. I'm like, man. But then he goes on to say the tail will actually be much much bigger than your fingernail. I'm like, dude, duh. That's what I'm asking about. Like, okay, so way bigger than your fingernail. If you hold that up, which your fingernail takes up a large section of outer space, right? So if this tail from the maps comet is going to be way bigger than our fingernail, that's going to be a huge sighting. Optimal time for that will be between April 5th and 10th, peaking around April 6th to 8th. You know what they say, like look for signs in the heaven, signs in the sky. So maybe this will generate some buzz, get people talking about outer space stuff. But yeah, that's it.
Does anyone else find it odd that all this stuff's going on and there's been like predictions from experiencers saying all this stuff is going to happen on April 5th, which happens to be my birthday, but also Easter. Um, you find that a little odd?
I find it psyopy.
100%. That's one thing I thought about too. Like if
I
it
do
was
find it odd. I find it odd. This is me in my own little conspiracy corner. I think that this stuff that we're seeing has more of an intimate link to our consciousness, and that when it's appearing and you're seeing all this stuff appearing at the same time, there's something going on within our consciousness and within our reality that connects to God. So like you could just chalk this up to, oh, this is predicted, it's historically, we know this is coming at this time. That's like a gritologist view. I don't have that view. I have the view of these signs that we're seeing in the sky. There's something happening within our civilization and within our consciousness, and that's why we're having all of these sightings and all these interesting things, including like turmoil within the war and the pandemic that we just went through, all this stuff. There's something happening behind the scenes, and like we can all feel it. We feel something is coming. You know what I mean? And it's just like we keep seeing more and more, and that feeling's not going away. It's just getting more and more intense. So yeah, that's my view. It's really weird.
No, that's a good point. I mean, I try to look at all these things like, would it be a psyop? You know, a lot of people are already screaming it's Project Bluebeam. All this stuff is fake. That's why they're going to have the release of the alien thing. And then you have JD Vance saying, "Oh, I'm aware of what's going on. I believe it's all demonic." So there's so many things floating around. Like, how do you figure out what is real, what is not? I always go with the old, and I've said this numerous times in the UFO community because I see a lot of times there's a lot of fighting going on within the community. And I'm like, look, I just try to keep my cup half full and I'll listen to anyone's story or experience and learn from it because there's truth in everything. And if you close your mind and just go with your dogmas of what you believe, you're going to miss something. And you can have two truths at the same time. It doesn't have to be an absolute. Like, I'm more religious based, but I'm open to listening to other scenarios that could possibly be, right? Because things happen naturally. If aliens are real, that's a natural phenomena. So why could that not be possible? Um, could it be a billion-year-old alien tech from a dead civilization that just kind of traveling through the solar system that's using some type of AI and just tracking things? Sure, why not? Especially if you all listened to Dr. Brandenburg about Mars, that it had a civilization hundreds of millions of years ago that was destroyed with some type of thermonuclear device. Um, why could there not be old probes floating around? We send probes out all the time. Or even look at like Tesla, like Elon launched a Tesla into space, right? So 10,000 years from now, they're like, wow, look at this alien craft. No, it was just a Tesla. So, I mean, anything is possible. I just try to keep my mind open.
Take the best and leave the rest. That's what I say.
Fact. What's going on, Crash?
Yo, man. Yeah, no, as it goes with the missing scientists and the missing military people, you gotta think about it like this. People go and chip their animals nowadays as it is, right? GPS chips and stuff like that. If people like that were to actually go missing, that could be a threat to national security. So you can't tell me that those people aren't like tracked and traced as it is. And a lot of the military, they get like the chips under their skin. Like, you see in like China and stuff like that, those RFID chips and stuff. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. Like I said, and it's kind of interesting where these people end up missing. You know what I mean? If you look into it for far enough.
No, no, definitely true. True. Crash. Go ahead, Miss A.
I was just thinking, like, on the demons and angels thing, or if why does it have to be this or that? Say, like, okay, so I don't buy into the whole religion thing, and that's just my perspective. But I do believe that there's something that created us. It created us. Why couldn't it create other beings? So I don't understand why we're having to pick a side. Like, why does it have to be either or? Why can't it all exist? And I think it was Timothy Alberino. I don't know. I've listened to some of his stuff, but I think I saw him post something like, why would demons need spaceships? You know? So I don't get the whole like this or that perspective.
No, that's true. And you could have two things that are true at once, right? You could have some type of being that could be demonically influenced. Or you can have two separate things, right? You could have some type of alien, extraterrestrial type, and then also
Yeah,
demonic.
ten things can be true at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I think just people just being narrow-minded and saying, "Oh, well, this is what I believe," um, is kind of crazy.
That's the psyopy part for me, is the pick a side. Like, if you're searching for the truth, and if you want the truth and you're trying to give the truth, there is no side. There's the truth. There's not a, well, it's this or that. It doesn't come down to that. It's more, there's gray area. There's all other colors. I don't know. Anyway.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. Definitely right. Go ahead, WTF.
Shoot, you can answer this. I was just gonna grok it before I said something, but well, first of all, more than one thing can be right. Like two things can be right. So I personally believe that this is gonna offend like two people, like any group, like non-religious people and religious people. So we were created by a little g through something like CRISPR technology, and that will relate to my question in a second. But that doesn't mean that the other thing can't be true too. And this is my belief, and not pushing back on anything. But it doesn't mean that we also, like, all of the beginning came from God. So like God created the universe, and then we have free will, right? So we can clearly use CRISPR technology in the future. Fast forward 1,000 years, and we could tell people, and it could be factually correct, that we actually created them. We actually created their civilization, but it doesn't mean that that there's not a larger God out there. It just means that we have free will and there's some nefarious stuff going on. And if they were to land, which I think they are going to, I think that's why in 2017, when Oumuamua whizzed by, we ramped up the Depop stuff with the pandemic scandemic, because I got all hyped up and they think that their Elohim are coming back, right? And some people hate that word and used in that text. But Mav, how long did it take God to create Eve? Or was it, sorry, who came first, Adam or Eve? How long did it take God to create the other one from the rib?
How long did it take?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay, because someone was talking about it and they were saying like, oh, this sounds like very similar to the timeline of using a CRISPR technology to modify genes in order to produce the effects you would want to produce and modify. But anyways, yeah. So I just want to say, yeah, if they do come down to land and factually announce that they created us, I would just say, okay, cool, I agree. You're little G. You're a bad guy. You're not big G. You know what I mean?
No, that's definitely true. We don't know. We weren't there. I know the Bible says a day is 1,000 years. Um, who knows if that's true or not? But if he's all powerful, who says he can't do something all at once? So I don't know. Go ahead, Apple.
Man, I love this thinking about this stuff because you're right. There's no way to really know. We can't prove it. We can't. Um, but we can feel it. And I think that since the dawn of mankind, we've been trying to figure stuff out beyond what's just below our at our feet. We've been looking up. I mean, you can see that the Egyptian pyramids and the Mayans and all through history, and I'm sure history goes back further than what we understand or know about, So I truly believe that the whole universe is connected somehow. Like I don't know, how all this what do they call it? Um, anyway, the way molecules are linked, through um, new science, quantum mechanics, that there's quantum entanglement and all this. I don't know, I don't think anybody really understands that, but I do think that there's something above us that we do have the ability to sense, like monks or, people that really dedicate their time. It's not just fight or flight, mode all the time, but they have tranquility to reach that. And I think uh, that's something that connects the whole universe. And so I think there's good and there's, mm, I don't think necessarily evil. I think there's just good and less good, you know. And if we're more in tune or in harmony, um, we kind of resonate with the good, you know. That's what I think. Thanks.
No, definitely. Um, all this is very interesting. I think we live in the greatest time in history. Things are moving so fast, and I'm glad to be alive to be here for all this stuff because we're learning so much. We're really realizing how much we were lied to in the past about pretty much everything, and things are moving so fast they can't really control what we learn now. Kind of like Bob was saying, this has happened before. Whether I know this has happened, in the 70s and 80s during the Cold War. They grabbed all the physicists because they thought we were going to go to war, and no one knew about it because there was no way for anyone to connect what was going on because you had to wait for it to be in the paper, and there was no way to make the connections. And then you had local news. You didn't have cable news or national news. All you had was your local news and maybe a 2-minute clip on what was going on nationally. Now, within 10 minutes, you know what's going on in Singapore. 5 minutes, you know what's going on in Turkey, across the country. And other than wherever we're fighting a war, there's also tons of video, right? That's another thing that drives me fucking insane. Oh, pardon my language. How come we never see how long has Ukraine and Russia been fighting and we got no video footage? How long has the war been going on in the Middle East and we have no video footage? How is that even possible? You go to freaking Walmart and you get into an argument, there's 10 million views of you fighting with the Walmart employee. We got two major wars going on and not any video coming out. That's just insane. And no one says anything. Um, the first war in Iraq, or the first Gulf War, right? It was on the news, cable news every day, streaming live. Yo, watch this, or watch this missile strike. Boom, 15 miles away, and goes down a ventilation tube the size of a soda can, and blows the bunker up. And everybody's like, "Holy shit, we can do that!" And now nothing,
It was like
nothing,
Star
no
Wars.
footage.
Well,
It was like Star Wars.
there's a bunch of AI videos now, Mav,
Yeah, that's true.
about the war.
We got the
Yo, I
AI
put out a good
videos or video
video.
games.
Remember that video I put out? That was good. That was good. So like I talk about how, if you're CNN and you're in Israel, you're legally ordered to point your camera down. Like it's just stare at the ground. If anything bad is happening, we don't want to look bad. Just point your camera at the ground. Right? Right. It's bad for
Yeah,
morale. Also, they don't want to give the enemy any intel on the trajectory, the success rate of their incoming missiles, because Hezbollah and GC, they don't have the guidance systems where they can change the trajectory of the missile like Israel and the United States has. So any footage they can get of their impacts is highly valuable to Iran. So that's why they point their cameras down. And then if you get footage from inside Iran, where's that's coming from? That's coming from the GC. So if we share that out as an American, well, we're sharing out footage that came from a terrorist group, right? So we're not allowed to do so like it doesn't get shared out. Yeah, Fox will do it, but like a lot of people hesitate. Like I'm no longer I did delete and reinstall Telegram. Like I deleted it because I'm like, I need to not be sharing this stuff. And then I went to reinstall it. It doesn't work anymore. But anyways, yeah. Right. And it could be any region. Now we could have another war somewhere else and we're kind of just gonna do the same thing. It's like, well, this is how do people share it? And then you got CNN. I watched a video. They were over in Palestine, the like this week, and the settlers, pro-settler Israelis, were pushing into a territory illegally. They set up an illegal outpost, and they came and pointed their guns at CNN and like punched their cameras and punched their phones and told them to lay down on the ground. And they're like, "Oh, well, what's going on? Clearly, we're no threat here. Like, what's going on?" Um, so like these cameramen really got to follow the rules and even like illegal rules. Yeah, so it's I don't know. Like I don't know how they used to get this footage in the first place back in the day. I don't know, man, because now it seems like impossible. But yeah.
No, you're right. It's definitely insane. All right. On that note, it is 8:37. We're going to be closing down the space. I got a lot of work to do with Sentinel and try to get everything squared away so I can provide you some good information tomorrow for tomorrow night. Appreciate everyone showing up. I was hoping to have a space reminder for you, but I'm still working on that because I want to know exactly what we're going to be discussing in detail so it's more accurate. So look for that. Put notifications on for that. I'll definitely be posting the space for tomorrow night. And it's going to be a lot more information at 3A Atlas, going all the way back to what was it, June until now when it's out near Jupiter. And like I said, we're gonna have um, actual numbers and data, diagrams, and receipts. So everything that's discussed tomorrow, I'll be able to provide in a purple pill the information on where we're collecting this information from. So it's just not like out of left field. But appreciate everybody showing up. My phone.